Hi friends, and welcome back. Welcome to my video. You are in my video. Welcome to my video. You are in my video. Hi friends, and welcome back. Today what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna go through books that I've read that we haven't talked about yet. I mentioned previously that I needed to do that, but my grandma had passed in the month of April, and so I didn't read like a lot kind of in between like March and May. April. So I want to talk about what I've read that is new to me for reading the first time. We've talked a little bit about how I've read Dungeon Crawler Carl, but those were like rereads, so I don't super count those just because like I've already read them before and it's not something I want to like keep talking about over and over again. Secondly, I'm also sick right now. I don't know what this sounds like. I'm sorry. I have to do something or I'm going to start going crazy because I have done nothing for about a week and a half now. And if I don't start doing something, I'm going to lose my mind. So I hope you guys are into that. If you are, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already. Turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified when my next video goes live. Let's jump on in. Okay, so when we last left off, we talked about what we read in February, and it's now June. So I'm going to talk about new reads that I read in March and April and May, and then in July we'll kick off with June reads again. So where we left off was I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I read 5 Dungeon Crawler Carl books in the month of March, and those were rereads again. That's my second time reading that, and that's because the 8th book was coming out in the middle of May, so I wanted to like kind of refresh everything before I read the new book. So I did that. And those were all still incredible reads. Still really enjoyed the series. I don't have anything bad to say about it or anything like that. That was my top 2025 series that I read, and I stand behind that still. So if you haven't read that, I would recommend that series. Even if you're not into like dungeon D&D kind of stuff, it's similar to that, but it's like real life, but it's kind of dystopian, but it's got a lot of humor and a lot of just, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. So that's all I have to say about that. I could go on forever about it. March 7th through the 16th, I also don't have a lot of physical copies of these books because I either read them on my Kindle or my dad is borrowing them right now. He had his neck surgery done, and so he doesn't have a lot of things to do. So I gave him a bunch of books that I've already read, so he has some entertainment. This one was a library borrow. This is The Wedding People by Alison Esbach. I'm not sure if that's how that's pronounced, but I borrowed this from the library on my sister-in-law's recommendation, and it was just a really enjoyable read. It made me LOL at some points, like actually laugh out loud. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's not my typical read. It's kind of a like a trigger content warning. There is like suicidal ideation and stuff in that, so if you can't handle that, then I wouldn't read this book. But I really enjoy like a dark humor and like talking about your mental health with humor and all of that. So I personally enjoyed it, but I understand how that could be taken like not so lightheartedly. I gave this book 5 stars on Goodreads because they don't do half ratings, but I would probably say like 4.5 stars. Yeah, it was just a really quick read. I really enjoyed it, and I would be interested in reading something else from that author again. After that, I read book 4 and 5 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. Not going to talk about those again through the end of March. In April, didn't do a lot of reading. I read 2 books. One of them I read was called Nowhere. This one is by Allison Gunn. I bought this on my Kindle because my friend and I were reading it. And this is a horror book, and it was terrible. It was really hard to root for anyone in this book. It was weird, and it was unexpected, and the parents in this book were truly awful parents, in my opinion, and the children in this book were interesting, and it just left a lot to be desired. I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads. I'd say probably like 1.75 if I'm being truthful, maybe 2.25. That's really stretching it. Yeah, I just didn't really enjoy that book, and I don't know what to say. I probably won't read anything else from this author, so do what you will with that information. The last book I read in April was a book that took me a month to finish, and that was book number 6 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. It took me from the 30th of March to the 24th of April to read that. Obviously, those are extenuating circumstances. That's not my normal reading pace. Anybody on here knows that. I was having a real tough time. Okay. The 1st of May, I bought and went home and read or started and finished this book. It was called Run on Red. This was by Noelle W. Ilhi, Ihli. I don't know if that's how that's pronounced, but that's how I'm gonna pronounce it. And this was a thriller. This one I actually enjoyed. I gave this one 4 stars, but I'd say probably like 3.5. Yeah, just a couple teenage girls. They were going out to party. It's a thriller. They get kind of caught up in some poor situations and stuff like that. I don't want to give anything away, but this one I think it was worth the read, but it's not like my top pick. You know what I mean? Like I was entertained while I read it. Would I read it again? Probably not. Do I want to read anything else by this author? Maybe. I'll leave it at that. From the 2nd to the 3rd of May, I read a Riley Sager book. I love Riley Sager. This was With a Vengeance. This was a very Agatha Christie whodunit kind of Murder on the Orient Express type of book. I actually really enjoyed this book. This is the same author that wrote The Only One Left. If you had to pick one book of his that he's written, I would pick that one. The Only One Left was his first read of mine, and it was incredible. You know how when you get into a new author and you're like, I don't know, like how they're going to be or whatever, and you read that book and it's just so good. I feel like some of his other books that I've read just haven't lived up to that expectation. The same things kind of happened to me with like Frida McFadden. I do really enjoy Frida McFadden. I will read Frida McFadden. I will read all her books that she comes out with. But nothing quite beats like The Housemaid for me or Never Lie. If I had to pick one book from Frida McFadden, I would recommend Never Lie. That was my top read of everything that I've read from her. And nothing else has just quite hit the same, right? They're all the same cadence. They're all kind of the same story. They're all kind of the same twists and turns. And I love that. I do, truly. But reading them like back to back to back is kind of difficult for me. I have to break it up with something in between, like a different genre or a different author, to get kind of out of that cadence. So I do love her. I do love Riley Sager. I did enjoy this book. I give it 4 stars. I'd say 4 stars is accurate. Yeah, a train, who's going to survive, who did it, all that, why are they all there, kind of all those kind of elements to it. Just a really easy, quick read. The next one I read was from the 4th of May to the 5th of May. This was called The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. Again, a new author to me. That's what this one looks like. I've never read from this author, and this one actually caught me by surprise. I actually really enjoyed this book. I'd say probably like 4.35. If I could give it a partial rating, it wasn't like quite a 5, but it wasn't quite a 4. Yeah, it was just a really interesting read. It kind of followed, obviously, an author that was doing ghostwriting, and she's done a lot of ghostwriting before, but she kind of got in trouble, and so she's asked to take this contract, but it's for her dad that she's like estranged from, and she is like doing it unwillingly, kind of, because she's kind of in a hot spot. Like, she's going to lose her house if she doesn't make some money because she pissed off like the editing world and stuff like that. So a lot of twists and turns, a lot of interesting, yeah, it was just an interesting storyline, and I actually really enjoyed it. So I gave that one 5 stars on Goodread, but like I said, probably like 4.3 stars. Next up I read was from the 12th through the 18th. This was Hollow Kingdom, and this was the Hollow Kingdom #1 book. There's a second one, and I think it's called Feral Creatures. This was by Kira Jane Buxton, and this was a recommendation from a coworker because his dad read it, and I didn't know what to expect when I started reading this, but what this book was not what I was expecting. To sum it up, it was like, The Secret Life of Pets meets The Walking Dead. I think that perfectly sums up what we've experienced in this book. But I do have to say, like, there was a lot of humor in this book that, like, actually caught me off guard. Yeah, I didn't expect it, and so it actually made me LOL out loud. I don't know if I'll read book 2. I have it for free, I think, from Kindle Unlimited, but while I enjoyed reading it, it wasn't like the end all be all, right? I gave it 4 stars. I'd say it's probably closer to 3.25. I'm actually going to bump it down to 3 stars, just because it wasn't that well written, in my opinion, but I had a good time reading what was written, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't, but I don't know. Don't get your book recommendations from me. Like, I'm just a person that just reads. I don't really care about what the book actually is, truthfully. I finished book number 7, Dungeon Crawler Carl, before I read book 8. That was kind of like, it took me 2 weeks to read that just because I was reading other things in between. And yeah, that's actually all I read for March through May. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books so far for June that I've read, and these are all new to me. And then I'm reading, I'm in the middle of reading Remarkably Bright Creatures. This is for my book club. I think I mentioned that I was in a book club. I wasn't able to make May's meeting just because I had some family stuff going. But I'm excited for June, and I'd say I'm close to about halfway done with this book right now, and I'm actually really enjoying it so far. It's not my normal read, not something I would normally pick, but I'm excited to finish this book and then watch it on Netflix. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been reading right now. I also am in the middle of reading Stephen King's Dreamcatcher still. I'm probably about halfway done with that book, and not that there's anything wrong with it. It just is not like fully capturing my attention right now, and I'm kind of a mood reader, so I'm just setting that one to the side for now, and I'll finish it when I finish it, not putting like too much pressure on myself. But yeah, so that's what I read. for the last couple months that we've missed, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. In this video, there will be some other clips of like I put some lashes on and like some new clips of my most recent like workout program and yeah, just some random things. I know you guys kind of enjoy the vlogs. It seems like that gets more traction than like makeup videos and stuff right now, so that's totally fine. I'm gonna keep just putting up whatever I want to. If you don't want to watch it, that's fine. I'll catch you in the next one. No hard feelings. But yeah, that's all I got for now, and I will catch you guys in the next clip. Bye, guys. Okay, so for this part of the video, I thought I would just go ahead and add in June reads because I've already finished the month of June. Today is actually the 2nd of July when I'm recording this portion, and I thought what better way to get all caught up in back on track than to go ahead and get this out of the way as well. I read 8 books in the month of June, and let's see, I also went on girls trip in the middle of that, and just life, you know? It's not the best, it's not the worst month, but still pretty good. So yeah, so the first one that I read in the month of June was Murder Takes a Vacation, and this is by Laura Lippman, and this I picked up on a whim, I think, at Barnes. It was pretty good. I think I gave it, I gave it 4 stars, and basically it is about a lady who takes a vacation, and she kind of has to figure out what's going on while she's on her trip, because there are things happening and stuff that shouldn't be happening, and it's a very like Agatha Christie as well. I'm really into those kind of books, and this one was no exception, and it was really short, so I think this was like 200 and something pages. Yeah, 257 pages. So just a really quick, easy read. I think I read it in less than a day, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. My second read of June was the new Dungeon Crawler Carl book. This is A Parade of Horribles by Matt Dinniman. This is book number 8 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and I gave this book a 4 as well. I would say like 3.5. I did really enjoy the book. I really enjoy the writing and all the like the banter between all the characters and everything like that. But this one, to me, I just didn't enjoy like the dungeon floor style that was like part of this until it got closer to the end. So that was the only thing for me, was like I just didn't enjoy it. This is basically like a bunch of they do a bunch of races in here. That's not giving anything away. But yeah, they do a bunch of like races in here, and that format of this dungeon floor in this world just wasn't my favorite. Still love Matt Dinniman, still love the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, still loved all the characters and everything like that. It was just this specific floor just didn't like quite grab my attention as some of the other books have. Next up, I don't have a physical copy of, but I read this on my Kindle, and it's called The Silent Patient. And this is by Alex Michaelides. I don't know if I'm saying that right. This is basically about a woman murders her husband and then basically is silent for years and years after. And she is in like a psychiatric hospital, and they're trying to figure out why she doesn't talk and all of that. I gave this book 4 stars. Truthfully, I would probably say like 3.15. And I'm actually going to bump down the rating right now because that needs to be adjusted. So I'm going to bump it down to 3 stars, but I enjoyed this book towards the end of it, but it was really kind of hard for me to get into, and it just wasn't like my favorite thing I've read. I felt like it was really slow at the beginning and just missed the mark a little bit for me, but still enjoyed it enough to like not DNF it, right? Next up, I actually picked this book up in Powell's in the airport while I was in Portland, and this was on my way to girls trip, and this is Camp Zero, and this is by Michelle Min Sterling, and I believe this is her first novel. Yeah, this is her first novel, and this is basically like a cult meets Life Below Zero, if anybody's watched that. Like, I don't think it's National Geographic, but I think it's like a Discovery show, and basically like people live up way north, like way in Alaska, and like really close to the like the North Pole and stuff like that. That's what this reminds me of. Yeah, like so like a cult meets that kind of lifestyle. And basically this is set kind of in the future, and there is a girl who is offered a chance at like earning a role in this future city, and all her expenses will be paid for, and all her mother's expenses will be paid for if she does XYZ. And yeah, it didn't turn out the way that I expected it to, and I thought it was decent enough to read in a weekend, but like I probably won't go back and read this one again. Next up, I don't have a copy of because I also read it on my Kindle, but this is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This is the same author that wrote Two Twisted Crowns and One Dark Window, the duology, the Shepherd King duology. And I can't remember if this was like before I was talking about books on YouTube, but incredible duology, by the way. Just gonna start there. Incredible duology. I really like this author. I like her humor in this book, and I really enjoyed the story in this book. And the next book is coming out on the 1st of September, but this is basically like kind of like a gothic scene, and there is a young woman who is like a prophet for this kind of like church that she belongs to. And basically she was like rescued as a child and then turned into being this like renowned prophet, but she goes by like a number instead of a name, and nobody knows like her true identity, and they call her like a diviner. And so basically she is receiving like these visions, and she interprets them for the kings and queens of the land. And like if there's like omens and stuff like that, like interpreting those for the situation. And basically she meets a knight who kind of has no like respect for any of this. He kind of thinks it's hokey and stuff like that. And so her like there's 6 of them, and her diviners like start disappearing, and so she goes to this guy for his help. And I gave that 4 stars. Really enjoyed the banter in the book. I love a cheeky little moment. I love like all the back and forth. I like giving people shit all the time, so it's fun for me to read that as well. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I look forward to book number 2 coming out in September. Next up, I read It's Not Her by Mary Kabuka. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her last name. That's how I've always said it. If somebody knows differently, please let me know. This is the same author that wrote Local Women Missing. If you haven't read that book, incredible read by her. Incredible. I couldn't put that book down. And I would say that's probably my top read of hers, but I did enjoy this one as well. This is like a thriller, and basically a family goes to stay at some cabins by a lake, and it turns out that some of the family members are murdered, and they're trying to figure out why, and basically trying to understand if it's inside the family or if it was like somebody outside of the family. And there had been several other like local disappearances in this like vicinity, and I don't really want to give anything away, but basically they misunderstood who was doing what, and that kind of caused a lot of havoc and a lot of grief for the entire family. So it was a good read. It wasn't my favorite from her. I gave it 3 stars. I'd say that's pretty average. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I probably won't read it again, but I thought it was good enough to read. So good enough to finish, right? Okay, next up is my book club read for the month of June, and this is Remarkably Bright Creatures. It was like voted on, and this is the one that we picked. This is by Shelby Van Pelt, and this is also her first novel as well. And this is about an older lady who goes to work at an aquarium, and she does like the cleaning overnight, and she makes friends with some of the creatures in the habitats, and makes friends with an octopus named Marcellus. And it kind of goes through their relationship and grief, and just her son had died, and just like trying to put all the pieces together of like what truly happened, because there was never like any closure for that. And Marcellus kind of helps with that stuff. So this was really good. I really enjoyed it. This is not my typical read. I think it's literary fiction, I think is what it is, and it's not like my necessarily like favorite category, right? Like, but I joined this book club because I wanted to be pushed outside of my comfort zone, and this book was great. It was incredible. I did watch the movie. If you've watched the movie and you haven't read the book, I wouldn't recommend reading the book after. If you've read the book and then watched the movie, I think it's okay, but just know that the movie and the book are different, and I don't think you can go backwards, like movie and then book. I think you would have to go book and then movie, just to like get the full picture of what everything happened here, and then like comparatively to the movie. Last but not least is actually our book club pick for May. I wasn't able to attend, but this is Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall, and I think this is like a historical fiction. And this was actually a lot better than I anticipated. I gave this book 4 stars, and like I said, I joined this book club in order to be pushed outside of my comfort zone a little bit, and this was definitely like outside of my comfort zone, but I actually really enjoyed it. I read it like in the afternoon before we met for like June's book club, just in case they brought anything up. And I already owned the book, so I wanted to like make sure I read it and make sure they knew that I'm like interested in this book club enough to keep up on things, right? So I read this, and this is part of a pick from Reese's book club. That's Reese Witherspoon. She also has a book out. I think she's written a book or two, maybe a couple, as an author as well. And this is kind of a young girl, meets a guy, and they get along well and have a really good time. And then he goes off to school, and she kind of feels like he's forgotten about her. And she goes to see him and like finds his journal, and it seems as though he has like cheated on her. And so she breaks up with him. She comes home. She marries the local farm boy, who they've had a crush on each other for years and years, and had never gotten together. And then the ex comes back to their hometown in this book, and like a whole bunch of chaos breaks loose, and there's twists and turns, and it just turned out to be a really good read. I think I said I already gave this 4 stars, but yeah, it was a pretty good read for not something that I'm normally like into. Just a quick touch on things I've got. I'm still in the middle of Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. Still probably about halfway through that. I started this book called The Serpent Queen, and it is a Wicked Souls novel by Tiffany Rosewood. I'm partway through that. I put that on hold to read Brimstone, which is the second of the Fae and Alchemy collection. The first one was Quicksilver. I read that one. When did I read that one? I read that one December 3rd of 2024, it says. Yeah, and this is by Callie Hart. So Quicksilver was the first one. Brimstone is the second one. I really enjoyed Quicksilver. I gave it 5 stars. I am enjoying Brimstone, but I don't know that it's a 5-star read for me. I think probably like 3.5 to 4 stars so far, and I'd say I'm probably 2/3 of the way through. So it'll be interesting to see what we think of it once I finished it in like July's roundup. And then lastly, our new book club read. We're meeting a little bit earlier this month, and we are reading Pen Pal by J.T. Gessinger. Looks like this. If you're my mother-in-law watching, don't look this up. This is basically, it's like a paranormal romance and kind of like a pen pal, so prison, penitentiary, and I'm not very far into it. I'm like 30 pages in maybe, and I'm excited to see like what happens in this book. So that's what we're reading for the month of July, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little roundup haul. I like doing these because it's fun to like revisit what I've read for the month and just see if like my thoughts have changed on any of it, or yeah, if I still like feel the same way about them. All these books for the most part are going to go to my father next to read, except for like the Matt Dittman book won't go to him. He's just not into that. So all of these I think I'll take to him. The Murder Takes a Vacation, Camp Zero, It's Not Her, Remarkably Bright Creatures, and Broken Country. I don't know that he'll be into like Remarkably Bright Creatures, but if he doesn't, that's fine. He can give it back, you know? It's not the end of the world. I don't really care that much. I got a couple random things from Ulta also. Just a couple of restocks. I put some more lashes on. I went to the gym for the first time myself today, alone, and that was really cool. I felt really good about that. I have worked out for a very long time, and I've kind of been in on and off programs, and you know, I've always done it from the comfort of my home, and I feel like I'm getting close to outgrowing the weights that I have currently in my household. And so I'm just trying to decide what I want to kind of do next. Do I want to keep training at home? Do I want to just get a gym membership and go from there? Yeah, I haven't fully decided. I'm leaning towards just getting a gym membership. It felt really good to like step out of the house and go do that today. Sometimes I feel like when it's in my house, I have a hard time just like getting up and getting it done because it's like, oh, I can just do it whenever, you know what I mean? Versus like if I have to get up and go to do it, then I need to properly plan and prepare for it, right? So it'll be interesting to see what I think next time we get together. We can talk more about that and kind of what I've decided. But again, I think I'm leaning towards like getting a gym membership locally and really just trying to push myself. I don't really know how to use the machines and stuff like that, so that is going to be a little bit of a learning curve for me, but I'm really excited about it, and I'm really proud of myself for, one, joining a book club because I don't think I normally would do that, and two, you know, like actually going and sticking with it and like showing up and participating and just actually being involved in that. And then I'm also really proud of myself for going to the gym for the first time. One, that's scary, and two, I did it alone. I did that alone. Me? Okay. Okay, girl. We see you. We see you. We like it. We love it. I think I'm going to wrap this vlog here. It has already gone on long enough. I think I've talked about 1 billion things in here. So I'm going to wrap this up and put it all together and put it on the internet for you guys. But I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified when my next video goes live. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, friends!